Hello everyone and welcome to a video with a big difference, yes? Today I am just doing a video with no top on. Why? It's for you and for me. The ordinary guys who don't go to the gym, who don't have ripped abs, who haven't got pretty boy looks, right? For those of us who live in this Instagram generation where we see these beautiful women dating these gym clones and how hurtful and frustrating that is. That's the environment we live in. And today we're saying it's okay not to go to the gym. This doesn't go to the gym, okay? And that's okay to be an ordinary looking person. I'm not using a filter. I never do. But you're not interested in any of that. So as you see me here today, just remember being average and looking ordinary, and maybe the rest of the world thinking we're ugly is absolutely fine and okay, and we're still valid. Right, on today's show, before I get into today's talking points for DC Universe, let's give you your DCU headlines. It has been confirmed by the Hollywood Reporter, THR, that Millie Alcock will be first seen in the DCU in James Gunn's Superman movie, something me here at Movies TV Mad have been telling you from the very beginning. It doesn't mean I'm a rocket scientist or I have inner kind of knowledge. It was obvious she was going to be in James Gunn's Superman movie. So before we see her in Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, she's shooting that movie right now. She was brilliant in House of Dragons. I'm actually rewatching Game of Thrones and having a good time, appreciating a lot more now on rewatch than I did before. Hard rewatch. I had to force myself to rewatch Game of Thrones because most of the characters are so mean and awful. Joffrey, I mean, he's just about unwatchable, isn't he? You know, credit to the young lad playing him. He nailed it, but Jesus, yeah. Love Game of Thrones. Anyway, we know that they've also cast Supergirl, Kara's parents for Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. Don't ask me for the name of the actors. They're not famous or anything. It's not breaking news, but there you have it. So they've cast Zor-El and Delora, I think that's the parent's name, and Millie Alcock will play Kara Zor-El, Supergirl in James Gunn's Superman film. So very, very exciting. But away from that, let's get into the business side of this DC universe, because Warner Brothers Discovery are very nervous about this Superman film. They have already fired their marketing guru. Their marketing executive has been fired and will be replaced. This was on a big spread at Variety, and they were talking to an inside executive from another studio. Funny thing was, this was something Variety used to do all the time when they tried to debunk the rumours that the Snyder Cut existed. They were more than rumours. The Snyder Cut did exist. But Variety have put out many, many hit pieces in the past defending WB. That's what Access Media does, my friends. That's what it's there for. It's not to inform us, right? As Elon Musk says, and that doesn't mean I'm a right winger or anything, but what Elon Musk said is that you are the media now. We've been the media before Elon Musk said it. YouTubers everywhere, people making content are the media now, whether you got 5 viewers or 5 million. So they're so nervous about this film, they've now fired their PR, their marketing guru. And marketing is important for any movie. Now, this kind of executive that was talking to THR, or no, Variety, should I say, was saying that he believes that Superman will be a surefire hit, but the rest of the films he's not too sure about. Isn't it convenient that this expert talking to Variety says the film that WB is so nervous about will be successful, but he's not too sure about the others? We could call it exactly what it is, everyone. It's PR spin. Absolutely. WB are so scared that this movie isn't going to make the money that they want it to make. And That's an interesting one. I've told you what I think about the box office situation for James Gunn's Superman. Lots of people are giving you their predictions. But what's the figure that WB will be absolutely happy about for this movie? And that's an interesting one. Some people have said 500 million to 700 million. 800 million would be very happy. Yes, 800 million is the magic figure. I think that's the figure where they'll go, yeah, that's good. That's solid, and we can build from that. But I believe anything under 500 million would be a disaster. And again, that's not me being a box office analyst. It's pretty obvious, isn't it? I think if you think about it, anything under 500 million for this film that's clearly cost them a lot of money. And I thought this was going to be a cheaply made movie. But when I saw that trailer, it's clear they've spent a lot of money on this movie. Well, we'll see when we see the actual movie. So, they fired their executive, their marketing executive. That shows you how nervous they are. Because not just about Superman, but Superman's the thing. It's the beginning of their summer. And as I've said before, this is a stacked year for all studios. So many movies were delayed during the strikes. So this is a knock-on effect. This is going to be the biggest blockbuster year that I can remember since 2005. And, I remember that year. We had Revenge of the Sith, we had Batman Begins, we had War of the Worlds. It was huge. Spielberg's War of the Worlds starring Tom Cruise, in fact. And that was a great movie. I remember being in the cinema watching all those blockbusters. So I'm excited that we're getting back to the summer blockbuster. They're trying to mend themselves, Hollywood, and go back to their old ways, things that used to hold them in good stead. Why they changed things, why they went from the broadcasting television model to streaming, I don't know. Because what happened is now movie people make TV with movie budgets. Giving something credit for being great television when they've spent millions upon millions on it is offensive to me. They've replaced TV people with movie people on big budgets. I was fine when HBO were doing it with Game of Thrones. It was an HBO thing. That was fine. Then when they all started doing it and replacing good television production crews, I started getting angry and offended about that. You can check me on X Twitter at Movies TV Mad to see my thread on what I said about that. But anyway, in connection to the DCU, there's been some debate whether Creature Commandos on Max has been a success or not. Now, of course, Snyderverse fans and stans have hijacked this conversation. And of course, they come from a certain perspective. But then you've got the James Gunn stans and the DCU stans and shields who come from the other perspective. I don't come from neither perspective. So basically, let me knock this on the head straight away. Creature Commandos was never going to be the #1 global hit for Max or for the DCU. It was merely an R-rated piece of animation. James Gunn, HBO and WB were very much aware that this wasn't going to be a huge hit, but it would be a solid hit. And it's been a solid hit for Max, DC Studios and WB. It's brought people to Max. It absolutely has. I think it's been #3 in the American version of Max. So, yeah, it's been a solid hit. They all knew it was going to be a solid hit. Nothing more. This was never going to be a Penguin. So trying to spin this as a disaster is ridiculous. I get it, Snyder stans. You're a bit disappointed in, the views for, Rebel Moon, the hate for Rebel Moon. I thought Rebel Moon was okay. I thought the first movie was solid. I wasn't really sold on the second movie, if I'm being honest. But I'm a Snyder lover. I'm a James Gunn appreciator more than a lover, but I am balanced and I have objectivity, unlike most of you. So no, Creature Commandos doesn't spell doom for the DCU. It doesn't spell big success, but they all knew that was never going to be the case, boys and girls. And that's okay. So yeah, there's that. So yes, we are in very interesting times. They did decide to fire Snyder. They did decide to go with James Gunn and Peter Safran, a guy who was already producing DCEU movies that flopped. It's important I remind all of you about that because it is very, very important. Because, as I say every day, July the 11th will settle the debate, whether that's between gun stands and DCU shields and stands and Snyderverse stands. You know, this is not really about you. This is about genuine DC fans who are not there for a director, but are there because they love DC. I'm here because I love DC. I want great DC films and streaming content, I hate that word, but yeah, what do you call it? TV shows, right? Yeah, great streaming TV shows and movies to get their right rewards, right? And I want crap to fail because I don't think it's right to make lazy crap, especially with the techniques they've got these days, with the technology they've got to make this stuff, to bring this stuff to life. There's no excuses for mediocre fare, if you ask me. But we'll see. There's people with their voodoo dolls of James Gunn hoping the DCU fails, and then there's people cuddling those dolls hoping that the DCU succeeds. I want to see a great Superman movie. I want to see a great Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow adaptation. Now, the lady who adapted Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow from Tom King's graphic novel is being hailed, and apparently James Gunn wants to use her for other stuff. It's very, very interesting, isn't it? We'll see, is this just empty hype? I don't know. So there's a lot of propaganda for you true, genuine DC fans to kind of step over. They're like landmines. Whether it's the Snyder fans propaganda, or if it's the DCU gun shields and stands propaganda, these are all landmines that you should ignore. You need people with objectivity. You need someone like me who isn't biased, who's going to tell you the truth or tell you his truthful opinion rather than some biased, angry, frustrated opinion. Basically, DC fans are like soldiers. We're like Jack Bauer on a day of 24. We start off okay, but then we're hungry, bruised, and battered, and we don't want no more. We're sitting in the car crying at the end of the season. Us DC fans have been through so much pain. There's some great DC content out there that they didn't continue with, and that's part of the problem. But I mean, whether it's the Snyderverse that they cancelled or Superman and Lois that they cancelled too soon, Superman and Lois was a successful show. And I do believe that James Gunn was worried about the competition, because when I look at that Superman trailer, I see stuff I've already seen recycled. James Gunn is trying to please everyone. When you try and please everyone, you please no one. The best thing, let me give you a sexual analogy. The best way to be a great lover is to be you. The best way to be a great lover is to take your time to explore and make sure you've satisfied your partner and given them everything they need. And that's what it takes to make a great movie or a TV show. Take your time, right from your heart, put in the maximum effort, and you will get your right rewards. If you make something repetitive and unoriginal and lazy and quick, if you're the one-pump chump of filmmakers, then you're not going to make a good movie at the end of the day. And that's the way I look at it. And we are in an era of laziness, of reboots, of relaunches. They've just cancelled the Frasier revival at Paramount Plus because people loved Frasier, but it's done. It's in the past. People want to see new sitcoms. Reinvent the sitcom. Like stuff like The Simpsons and Family Guy kind of reinvented the sitcom as animated sitcoms, and that was very revolutionary. And people need new entertainment, new characters to look up to, new things to laugh at and cry at. And that's what this industry is not giving us today. It's lazy and it's cheap. I hope for James Gunn's sake, DC Studios' sake, and Warner Brothers Discovery's take that Superman is something brand new, fresh, and original.